to that $3,000 30-lap feature. There'll be 20 starters in that race. The first 6 cars, the fastest 6 that qualify for the feature, will be inverted. So the fastest qualifier could start in 6th position. Now this is that heat race number 3, the third of 4 heat races. Everybody who does not qualify through these preliminaries moves on to that semi-feature. And the lineup on the pole in the black and red trim, number 96 is Leon Thixon. On the outside is Red Stouffer from Florida. In row number 2 on the inside, former national champion Tom Bigelow. And from Toledo, Ohio, in the bright red, number 16, Jerry Niemeyer. In the third row, Chip Thomas. In the bright yellow, number 34. He's had a good season here at IRP. And Andy Hillenberg on the outside. In the fourth and final row, from Michigan, Gary Fedewa and Steve Butler in car number 1. He is the defending and 3-time United States Auto Club Sprint Car champion. We will go one more lap before we green flag this. Let me bring in Steve Chassie, who is joining us again this week to talk about Steve Butler. He's been in somewhat of a slump for him so far this year.
Yeah, it's really strange because, you know, Steve is really a good race driver, and he's shown a lot of excitement out here for us. But since he's crashed at the Speedway, for some reason, he hasn't quite got back on track yet. He's getting there, but he hasn't quite made it yet.
And Steve is yet to win a main event in the United States Auto Club Sprint Car competition this year. And that, to me, is as startling as when we got to Charlotte in May. Bill Elliott was yet to finish in the top 5. Of course, he's won since.
Well, he'll make it. I mean, I have no idea what his problem has been, whether it's been car problem or not uncomfortable.
Leon Thixon, who was originally supposed to start on the pole in a black red trim, number 96, is missing. We anticipate a green flag this time. A big squirm going into turn number 1. As we move through turns number 1 and turn number 2, the yellow flag is out. As getting very close to the outside wall is number 34 of Chip Thomas. Chip is the driver who also had an adventure coming down the front stretch, but starter Bill Carey was not pleased with the alignment as we took the green flag. Even the front row was already jumbled.
That's right. They're going to start it again. There'll be a 2 abreast start, but we have a car in the infield. Because Chip Thomas.
There is Chip Thomas coming in.
See the right rear has all the cement all over it.
Now watch also Gary Fedewa in the blue car on the outside of Thomas. This is at the back of the pack coming out of turn number 2.
It looks like I really couldn't tell whether Chip was going up or whether Fedewa was coming down, but they did get together. Okay, let's see.
This is from the inside of the back stretch. Watch the back.
Coming off the corner. I really couldn't see again that time. You could just see the 2 of them come together, but whether one came down or one went up, I really couldn't tell.
It really was a close call, because at that point of this racetrack, you are still sustaining speeds at well above 100 miles an hour, even though you're just exiting a corner. But because you have those big, wide, sweeping turns here, you can really keep the RPMs and the speed up. Gary Lee will be joining us in the pits tonight, and he is down at Gary Fedewa's car. Gary?
Well, this is not where Gary would want to be at this point in time. The push truck is here. They are changing the left rear. However, they're getting some help from the Stoops racing crew. The crew member for Steve Butler has been working in earnest down here to get that tire changed. The push truck is here, and Gary Fedewa shortly will be underway.
Well, the field is formed, Gary, on the backstretch right now, and the pace car is streaking away. They anticipate going green this time around. They are about halfway as Gary Fedewa finally gets out onto the track. He stands on the throttle. He's racing already, Steve. If he can get around and catch up that field, he might have some good momentum. There's the field in turns 3 and 4. Again, anticipating green flag this time. And Fedewa, watch him come into your picture. Yellow flag. Bill Carey says, no, we're not going to go this time, so Fedewa makes it.
He got very lucky. He would have just maybe made it in his position, but because there's one more lap on the yellow, now it's easy for him.
Remember, only 4 cars move on to the main event. We've already had 2 cars drop from this race, and we have not even yet to start this race officially. You see moving through the first turn on the inside is Tom Bigelow. Tom was originally from Whitewater, Wisconsin. He now lives in Winchester, Indiana. We're looking at the nose now close of Red Stouffer.
Well, now the Red Stouffer car had that real swoopy, low nose that is much more aerodynamic, and it looks like a real pavement car.
Like Wayne Hammond's car you see later tonight, a Florida race car. We're green flagging again for the 2nd time in this heat race number 3 as the field charges into turn number 1.
It's the same good start. No trouble this time. Stauffer's back out front like he was last time.
And running in second position is Jerry Niemeyer, who had a great heat 1 week ago. Niemeyer down at the bottom of the racetrack. Bigelow pushing the high side. We have completed 1 of 8 laps, and they're still stacked up pretty tight. Steve Butler is trying to move through the field as they charge through turns 3 and 4. Coming past this time to complete lap number 2. It is Jerry Niemeyer leading. Tom Bigelow running in second. Way down at the bottom is Steve Butler trying that patented move of his.
Looks like he's got some of it back again tonight. His car looks real good. Here goes Butler into second place right now, and Bigelow just went back to third. But still a tight race for second and third.
Jerry Niemeyer continues to hold his line. Now Butler is going to try and dart right down on the grass to get around Niemeyer. Niemeyer knows the best groove here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Steve, you've talked about it many times. It is about 2/3 of the way up the racetrack.
It's a lot harder for him to get by when he's running good on the top because you can't sustain the momentum on the bottom. But Butler seems to have it back together tonight, and he's trying every lap. He'll make a pass on the inside going in.
Andy Hillenberg in the blue and white number 25, make that black and white 25 is third, and Gary Fedewa, whom we saw change tires just before this heat began, is now fourth. There's the pass as Butler pulls it off finally.
Yeah, it's a nice, smooth inside line pass. It looks like Steve's got his stuff back together again. I think once again we're going to see him run well. But look at Andy Hillenberg. He had a good race last week in the Indianapolis Raceway Park Pepsi 150 for the Silver Crown cars. And now here he is running good tonight.
This is only the third race for Andy Hillenberg. That car on your screen running second. There's first, second, third, and fourth. It's Butler, Andy Hillenberg, Jerry Niemeyer, and Gary Fedewa. Butler from Indiana, Andy Hillenberg, the Indiana Andy Hillenberg, Niemeyer from Ohio, and Fedewa from Michigan.
There's Jeff Stoops. That's Steve's car owner in the Indy cars and the Sprint cars. Uh-oh, there's a blow-up.
Jerry Niemeyer, as he enters turn number 3, runs headlong into a wall of smoke, and that looks like an engine.
And that's very difficult to see when you're in that steam, because it's like a whiteout in an airplane. Until it gets to clear out a little bit, you just go by instinct.
He really did an excellent job holding on to that race car, Steve, because when you drive into that type of situation, it is simply like driving into a blinding snowstorm. You really have to go on your instincts at that moment.
It's exactly what he did. He knew where he was, so he didn't make any big movements and just continued and tried to be smooth, and then it finally cleared up enough he could see.
Jerry is currently in 5th place in the USAC National Sprint Car standings, and he really has had a good couple of weeks. The car has been running consistently in the top 10, and this is a major disappointment for them because he is very comfortable in this type of race.
It is. You know, he has made a little comeback here in these past couple of years also.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Indianapolis Raceway Park. And while we are under this yellow flag because of Jerry Niemeyer's blowing engine, we thought we would welcome you officially to this racetrack. Steve, sprint car racing for so many years has been almost legendary among racers and racing families in this country. And this race night here at Indianapolis Raceway Park, I think, is emblematic of that. We have two extremes here. On one hand, we have a young driver whom we've highlighted several times already this year, and he's just 17 years of age.
You know, it's amazing to see a young guy like Jeff Gordon to be where he is in his career. I think that he's further along in his career at 17 than any driver that I can ever recall in the history of auto racing. And to have someone like that, it's a great shot in the arm for the sport.
As you can see, he is the current USAC sprint car points leader. We have also seen him win in a midget here. You know, this was the city where Wayne Gretzky got his start as a hockey player at the age of 17. And do you think we are stretching the point to say that this guy is as far along in his chosen profession as Gretzky was at the age of 17?
Oh, I wouldn't say not at all. He is so far in his profession that he wants to be in at 17 that I think anyone would like to be there.
And on the other end of the spectrum, sprint car racing has always been something that seems to get into your blood, and it's really tough to get away from it. And running here tonight, man, from Temperance, Michigan, just across the Ohio-Michigan line from Toledo, is a great, yes, I said great grandfather, not just
great
grandfather.
Benny Rapp. When I was a youngster, before I started driving, I've been driving for 25 years. I can remember reading about Benny Rapp. He was always in the papers, especially on pavement, running very strong up front. And he's here tonight, and he hasn't run that strong tonight, but to be 61 years old and competing with a 17-year-old, that says something for Benny, that he still has desire.
61 years of age. He has 15 grandchildren, and the youngest of his, I think it's 8 children he has, is just 20 years of age. So Benny Rapp has had a very successful career in many ways. And as a matter of fact, he's standing by right now with our Gary Lee.
Well, Benny, you spring hope eternal in everybody's heart that's 40 years old and still wants to drive a race car. You've been at it since 1946, but I have to tell you, Steve Chassie up in the booth just said that he read about you racing when he was just a kid.
Yeah, that's very true.
Now, you tell me you race every weekend, a couple times a week, in a number of different organizations.
Yes, I do. Anywhere I can run.
What's the key, though, to staying in shape when you're 61 years old and most guys have retired 20 years earlier?
I work every day at a dealership and keep working on a race car at home.
All right, there he is. You've got a lot of fans out there pulling for you. Benny Rapp, all of 61 years of age.
Well, Gary, Benny will have one more chance tonight. He failed in his heat race to qualify for the main event, but he'll be back in the semi-feature. Watch for him in a bright red number 14. Tonight's USAC Sprint Car races from the Indianapolis Raceway Park, the Hardee's Deluxe Racing Series, is being brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. And by Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. And by Levi's 505 and 506 jeans. Well, we'll be back with the conclusion of tonight's 13th race. 4 more cars to qualify for the main event after these words.
From dawn's early light till the sun is set, Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
Quaker State exceeds every single car maker's U.S. requirements for maximum engine protection. That's why in Atlanta, Georgia, the engine in every fire truck, every police car, every Atlanta city-owned vehicle is a Quaker State engine.
Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the Goodyear Eagle line of high-performance street radials, the best-selling performance tires in the world. Goodyear Eagles, for the spirit of a champion that's in all of us.
Comfort of Levi's jeans. Or had you forgotten?
Now, incredible deals await you at exciting destinations across the country. It's our Burger King Summertime Twofer, a complete package which includes 2 flame broiled burgers, 2 regular fries for just $2. You'll also receive deluxe accommodations during your stay, unlimited use of our facilities, and great family entertainment. So visit any of our luxurious locations and get 2 burgers, 2 regular fries, and all this for just $2. The Burger King Twofer, available for a limited time, transportation not included.
Welcome back to Thursday Thunder here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Standing by with Jerry Niemeyer. We are under yellow right now because of oil on the racetrack from your power plant. What happened?
Well, we was leading the race there, as you've seen, and motor was vibrating a little bit, so I backed off a little, and Butler stuck in there, and I got on it again, and I just kept breathing it, and finally I said, well, you better hold this spot. And it finally blew. I think a piston. Got a piston.
And you did not have much visibility out there, did you?
No, I didn't, Gary. It was pretty bad right there, and, you know, we was just able to keep her under control. It lost a lot of oil.
Speaking of visibility, let's go back topside. We're back to green.
We are back to the green flag, working on lap number 7 coming up, and Steve Butler now leads heat race number 3 quite comfortably.
Quite comfortably, except for a dirty, dirty racetrack. It looks like he's holding on real good, but Andy Hillenberg is not going to let him get too far away.
And this has been a race of attrition, as it is said. Hillenberg runs in second. In third is Gary Vito, and fourth is Red Soffer. They are the only 4 cars on the track.
You hate to race hard, but if you don't, whoa, Hillenberg really got sideways there. But you try to race as hard as you can, even though it's only 4 cars, because you want to know how fast you can go for the feature.
And when you have track conditions like we ended up having because of Jerry Niemeyer's blowing engines, it really kind of disrupts what you're trying to accomplish here, because you've got a track that you've got to test. You're not completely confident about it.
Yeah, well, see, now they didn't learn a lot after that yellow flag, because the racetrack was pretty dirty up there. And as you saw, Hillenberg got sideways. So the next couple of the heat race and the semi-feature will dry it up.
There is Steve Butler's car, and there's a race car that has been designed to run on pavement. That nose you won't see at the local dirt track.
No, we call it a scoop nose. And basically what it does is it forces more air in on that scoop, and it does 2 things. It cools the car better, and it also plants the front end a little better.
It's a race car that's been adapted because, as you can see, that's basically a typical World of Outlaw sprint car nose, but it's underneath where they've really done all the changes in terms of the bodywork.
Really, it is. It's all bolt-on stuff. It's a basic car, but it's all bolt-on aluminum bodywork. Or not bolt-on, I should say Zeus button on.
Steve Butler, who has 3 times the last 3 years has been the United States Auto Club National Sprint Car Champion. Hi, Grandpa. I hope you're watching wherever you are across the United States of America. We welcome you to Indianapolis Raceway Park. But Butler, as I mentioned, has yet to win a race this year, and he's standing by with Gary Lee right now.
Well, Steve, I said we would talk to you here in Victory Lane after that heat race, so congratulations. It looked well for a while, but how are the track conditions now to the blown engine?
Well, they oiled it down real good over there, Gary, and it was real slippery, so I think we were all taking it pretty easy. There was oil over most of the track, and then there was oil dry where there wasn't oil, so it was a little slick, but I think the track's going to come back all right.
Is the rhythm back now? You had the crash at the Speedway. You were taking a sabbatical because of doctor's instructions from sprint car racing. Does it take a few races to get the rhythm back?
Well, I think so, you know, and we've made some changes to our car. You know, this is basically a dirt track car, and we saw that Vogler and Fry were pretty serious about pavement racing this year, Gary, so we thought we better change the car around a little bit. So we've made some changes, and it seems to be real positive. We're a bunch quicker this week than we were the last time here, so we're looking forward to a good night of racing. And so you won't shiver. You know, I see you shivering out here, so I've got your little T-shirt I'll give to you, and maybe you can wear that and stay warm, Gary.
I appreciate that, but it is a little chilly here in Indianapolis. Do you have an extra pair of racing long johns I can put on?
Yeah, but they're kind of sweaty. You probably wouldn't want those.
How about a driving suit?
Then you'd want to drive my race car. I know you, so I can't do that.
There's Steve Butler. We'll see more of him in the future. Thank you. We have a lot more coming on Thursday Thunder here from Indianapolis Raceway Park. The USAC Sprint Cars. Stay with us.
Stand by to witness the most awesome display of raw power on Earth. 15,000 pounds of fire and steel leap into the air and crush their way to glory in the ultimate battle of the monster trucks. ESPN and TNT Motorsports presents Turning the Power On. Video excitement as close as your telephone. Feel the thunder. Hear the deafening power of America's ultimate muscle sport, truck and tractor pulling. You've got a front row seat for the thrill of the monsters. Modified Superstock, modified four-wheel, super modified two-wheel drive, TNT Stomper Chevy, Jim Lyons, Ken Lamont, and the Wild Two-Wheelers. The Banter Brothers multi-engine pulling beast, and featuring the ultimate Renegade Monster Truck Challenge. Turning the power on. Now on video for only $19.95. Only through this TV offer. Order now and get a video bonus. The hilarious crazy car bloopers, upended monsters, collisions, exploding engines, and more on Turning the Power On. You can't have a better time for under $20.
Formula One drivers try to catch defending champion Ayrton Senna at the fastest track on the circuit. See the Grand Prix of Britain from Silverstone, Sunday at noon Eastern on ESPN.
Well, as Speed Week elaborated a little earlier, Alain Prost, the all-time leading race winner in Formula One, will be moving on at the end of 1989. But in the meantime, he continues to lead this year's point standings again. The circuit will travel to Silverstone in England at noon Eastern Daylight Time Sunday for the Grand Prix of Britain. Now, they haven't announced who Prost's replacement's going to be yet. You got a shot at that, Steve?
Well, I'm not allowed to say anything at this time.
I understand. Okay. Well, it's been a very pleasant summer in Indianapolis, Indiana, and that is a live shot of the full moon. If you look real closely, you can see not only craters, but the first steps on the moon that Neil Armstrong left 20 years ago.
Had big feet, didn't he?
Yeah, he really did. He left all that debris up there in footprints, but, you know, it's been 20 years, and there really has not been another quantum leap for mankind since then.
Well, do you think that really happened, or do you think it was just all contrived in someone's backyard?
Well, I guess that depends on whether or not you believe Elvis is dead.
That's true.
We are getting all set to go for heat race number 4, back down here on Earth at the Indianapolis Raceway Park. We're just down the road, literally, from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The Indianapolis Raceway Park, it is said by most, is 5/8 mile in length, but it's a big racetrack as short tracks go. And it's a racetrack, Steve, where race cars like midgets or sprint cars that we are highlighting on this Midsummer Series here on ESPN really reach just about the maximum speed they reach all year long.
Well, it's close to maximum. The only time they'll be faster than this is if they run at the Indiana State Fairgrounds on a mile or something like that. They'll run about 148 miles an hour top end speed. Here, they're a little down from that, but they still run, like qualifying was 118, almost 19 mile an hour average. This is a big racetrack, big, wide racetrack, and it has the same effect when you come off the corner as it does at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You come off the corner here, and it's a long way to the next corner.
It visually is a long way, and you actually have a few seconds to kind of, you know, dip your eyes down at the gauges and assess what's going on. We have had 5 cars get under 21 seconds tonight, and one of those 5 was this man, the blue, orange, and yellow trim, number 66 from Florida, Wayne Hammond.
Wayne Hammond did a great job at the last sprint race in winning, and he did a great job at the last Salem race in winning it. So he is very, very good, and he's very tough, and he has some tough competitors like Gene Lee Gibson on the inside.
Hammond has only entered 4 USAC sprint car races in his career, and as Steve just mentioned, let's see, if he won 2 of them, that's a batting average of 500.
500.
Gene Lee Gibson will start on the inside of the last row. Here's a second-generation driver whose father, incidentally, you might be familiar with if you've been following short track racing the last 25 years, is leading the point standings at the Sandusky, Ohio racetrack, the Sandusky Speedway for super modifieds. This is his son, Gene Lee. This is the Johnny Vance sprint car from Dayton, Ohio, and Gene Lee is one of the 6 or 8 real favorites to win this main event tonight. Here is the grid for heat race number 4 on the inside. A brand new driver to this series, Mike Vandermoss. He's from Goshen, Indiana, in car number 18, and Lenny Green will flank him. In row number 2, Dave Durnwald from Ohio is on the inside, and number 73, the midget graduate, John Murphy, starts on the outside. The third row side by side are Eric Gordon in car number 75, and from Liverpool, New York, the super modified and former Winston Cup champion, Doug Hebron, and in the fourth row, Gene Lee Gibson and Wayne Hammond, who we introduced to you a couple of moments ago. Gary Lee is down in the pits, and he has some comments about our 4th position starter.
We talk about the 355 and the 410 Chevrolets these guys are using, but in car number 73, it is a 406 Ford, the only Ford in USAC sprint car competition, one of only 2 or 3 Fords in competition around the country. The car owner also has the old Roadster that Sheldon Kinzer used to win a USAC sprint car title with the old Genesee beer wagon. He has replaced the Chevy with a Ford. He's a Ford man. I said, why? He said, why not? We're racing.
Durnwald drops to the inside, then a bright red number 7, and tries to grab an early advantage, but it doesn't work as Durnwald washes out as he enters turn number 1. We are anticipating maybe a yellow flag, but no, Bill Carey leaves the green flag out, and the field charges into turn number 3, and John Murphy comes out with a healthy lead, and in the middle of the pack, boy, the action is close.
He's got a great lead, and the Ford's running real good. Well, now Wayne Hammond was a little tight up in the pack, but now he's starting to get free. He's got a good runner in front of him, Doug Hebron, and here's Gene Lee alongside, so it's not going to be that easy for him.
There is Gene Lee Gibson in the yellow red trim number 2 to the inside of Wayne Hammond. Gibson looked like he was going to have the advantage as they moved into turn number 3, but not at all. Hammond had that preferred groove about 2/3 of the way up the racetrack.
And now they've caught John Murphy up front, and I don't know how long he's going to be able to hang on, but this may go away here in couple laps with an inside pass.
Boy, John Murphy has got his hands full. There are some real veteran and outstanding pavement drivers right in his tail. That's Doug Hebron. They go right by you. Wayne Hammond. And in the number 2 car, Gene Lee Gibson.
That's a snarling pack behind a guy. And to be in one of your first races, to have a group like that behind you, you better have your stuff together.
Boy, if Murphy could just see as Gene Lee Gibson goes to the inside. Remember, he is going after the lead. Only 4 of those 5 cars in the screen move on to the main event. There is the 75 car of Eric Gordon, who has moved into this gray. That is Doug Hebron in the black number 2, moving to the inside of John Murphy. And Murphy almost loses power coming out of turn number 2. Something apparently going wrong with the car.
Something. When they stop that quick, it has to be a jump out of gear or a rear end problem. Very, very fortunate no one ran over one another back there.
Boy, anxious seconds there as they came out of turn number 2. And the man who really benefited from that was Doug Hebron.
Now we'll see just how fast Doug is. We'll see if he can really move away from the field. We don't know if John was holding him up or whether he was just running. But it looks as though he's running the same speed and not really pulling away from the pack.
Gibson, in point of fact, is moving up. Gene Lee Gibson, Richwood, Ohio, in the bright yellow number 2, is now moved up to challenge Doug Hebron. 2 laps to go. They'll look for the white flag this time around. Eric Gordon in a white number 75 runs in 3rd, and the 4th place runner is Wayne Hammond. He appears to be content there.
You can see Hebron's got a little bit more push than, Gene Lee back, putting the right rear tire right in the cockpit and went on by. Was not very gentlemanly, but he is leading the race.
Gene Lee Gibson was intent upon taking this lead. He slid that machine right underneath Doug Hebron, and he's heading toward the checker.
He's gassing. I mean, he's going for it all he's got. He just got a little loose and slipped up. Did no contact, but it was a little intimidating.
The checkered flag waves over Gene Lee Gibson, the man who holds the unofficial world's record on pavement for 1 lap by any type of race car and a half mile. He turned a lap at 1480 1 year ago. Now let's go back and look what happened to our early race leader, John Murphy.
You watch John. He's coming up the 2nd turn right now, and he's holding his own, and all of a sudden, boom, it just quits. It goes, straightens up and wiggles.
Wow.
Something happened. Look at all the guys, how they, heads up driving. Everyone missed them. No one touched anything and went on by. Now that is driving ahead of your race car.
And John quickly had his hand up. He kept one hand on the steering wheel, and the other one was waving to everybody around him. He really did an excellent job for, he has limited experience.
Absolutely, and that's so very hard to do. When things happen that quick, your first instinct is to, gee, what'll I do? Get out of the way?
Grit your teeth and hold on to the steering wheel.
To get a hand up, it's tough.
We'll come back and talk to the winner of heat race number 4, Gene Lee Gibson, after these few words. But we are at the Indianapolis Raceway Park. We have now qualified 16 of 20 cars, and perhaps the most exciting races coming up.
This is how a Ferrari Testarossa looks on the road. And this is how a Ferrari Testarossa looks to the road, where it ultimately responds through the contact patch of its Goodyear Eagle tires. The exclusive tires chosen by Ferrari for every Testarossa sold in America. Goodyear Eagles, because there really is a difference.
There's a torch in the night, 100 years been burning bright. It's the Amoco torch, and it's leading the way. Driven to be the best for you and all we do. It's the Amoco torch, and we're here to stay.
2-lane blacktop, dusty byways, city streets, super highways. Wherever you go, you got a friend you know. Amoco, America, Amoco, and you. Amoco. The torch that Amoco is burning bright for you. America, Amoco, and you. Amoco, thanks to Amoco, thanks you.
When the sun goes down, the surf's up on ESPN's Hot Summer Nights. Summer nights means water sports action with a twist every Saturday night beginning at 8 Eastern on ESPN.
Back live at Indianapolis Raceway Park on a very cool Thursday evening, but some hot competition on the oval out here. Gene Lee Gibson, we're standing behind the Aristocrat Products entry out of Dayton, Ohio. Congratulations, you had your work cut out for you from the back of the pack, and you had one scare out there when John Murphy lost power.
Yeah, it got kind of close back there. He threw his hand up, but, you know, we're all coming off the corner under power, and he stopped in front of, I think, a Hammond, and, you know, just one of them deals where I was in a position to go low and get around him, and, you know, we got lucky on that deal.
Now, you say when I ask about track conditions that the oil dry is the problem now. You have a cushion up there of sorts.
Yeah, but it's the wrong kind of cushion, and the cushion I don't know how to run on either. But get more laps on the track from the conting stuff. It'll blow the oil dry up higher and get it out of where I like to run. And, you know, then we'll see what happens for the feature. We made some changes from qualifying. I think we helped the car, and we got a little better starting position this time than last time. We don't have to start so far back, so I think we can give them a run for the money in the feature.
Now, before Chassis up there says, what are you talking about, the cushion? This is not dirt. You're referring to the oil dry that's being kicked up on the high side and it gets slick up there.
Yeah, they're in the third heat. Niemeyer lost the motor, and they put down a lot of oil dry, and it takes a few laps to get it blowed off, and it's up on the high side where I like to run, so it takes 4 or 5 cars up there to get it blowed off. You know, by yourself, you can't do it in 8 laps. You got to get some help to get that blowed off, but it makes it a little skatey up there, but you just learn to adapt to it.
There's an unusual looking race car on the track right now with an unusual sound. Let's go back topside with Larry and Steve and check out that progress.
Well, Gary, if you're not a real carefully trained eye, you might say, what is this, nighttime Indianapolis car racing? That is USAC's new Sabre, and it's unfortunate it has chosen to pull off the racetrack just as we have come back live. Now, remember that 4 of the competitors in the last heat race are refueling and resetting up their cars for the semi-feature, but this is the newest race car that the United States Auto Club is putting on the racetrack.
And it's going to be a really handsome car, as you can see. I think it's going to be a very viable series when they get the cars sold and get their dates down. It's going to be such a good stepping stone because there's really no middle ground now like this for an Indy car.
As you can see, it's a normally aspirated V6, actually a Buick V6, turning out 540 horsepower. Now that is a range of horsepower that currently does not exist in single-seater open-wheel racing. As you can see, the wheels are 15 by 10s in the front, 15 by 14 in the rear. Very close to an Indianapolis car. Now, there are single-seater open-wheel divisions that have less horsepower, and of course the Indianapolis cars have more, but this one seems to be something that has not been offered until now.
No, and you know what the most exciting part about this is? It's putting the opportunity to run an Indianapolis type car back in the hands of the people who are aspiring in the sprint cars and the midget cars. This car is going to cost under $60,000, and then an engine is going to cost around $15,000.
And of course, USAC is still working on all the details as far as the arrangements go for engine and the collection of race dates, and they are out marketing the machine to teams across the country. As we look at some of the people, including the ESPN family, they're here at the Indianapolis Raceway Park on a moonlit but yet cloudy night. Conditions are close to perfect. We do not have the extreme heat that we've had in previous weeks. 2 races to go live here tonight at Indianapolis Raceway Park.
As long as I've known Tom, I need help, he's there. Sure, I'm glad to see you. Stay with you? Figured you wouldn't mind.
Strays rounded up, you head for the mountains. Bush. And the beer that goes down smooth as a mountain stream.
Sure are you one. How about this in here?
Head for the mountains of Bush beer.
Tonight's forecast calls for something fresh. New Domino's Pan Pizza. With a 99-cent chance of precipitation. Just your time to try new Domino's Pan Pizza, because we'll throw in a 6-pack of Coca-Cola Classic for a cool 99 cents. Domino's Pizza. Nobody delivers better.
In this summer of high adventure, the highest number of all is still 007.
Timothy Dalton is back as James Bond in the most spectacular Bond ever. License to Kill. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday at theaters everywhere.
ESPN is your ticket to the NFL when the San Francisco 49ers and Los Angeles Rams go head-to-head. The Super Bowl champion 49ers enter a new era as their new coach faces his first live test. The Rams clash with their fierce Western rivals in the Far East at the American Bowl in Tokyo. Mike Patrick and Joe Theismann bring you the preseason premiere of NFL football. Saturday night, August 5th, live on ESPN.
Center stage, the Loctite Crestliner Band Sprint Cars. This is the Hardee's Deluxe Series from the Indianapolis Raceway Park. Precisely, we are in Claremont, Indiana, on the west side of the metropolitan area of Indianapolis, Indiana. We have told you, of course, that the heats you have seen live were heats 3 and 4. This is a recap of what happened earlier this evening. You see the daylight is out as heat number 1 is flagged off. That white car making a big dive to the bottom and trying to move up to the first spot initially is Jeff Bloom, the driver who used to hail from Kalamazoo, Michigan, now still lives in central southern Michigan. Runs in second. There on the bottom is Jack Hewitt, the Troy, Ohio driver in a brand new Challenger race car. He runs third and he is really motoring. Meanwhile, we've had a spin in turn number 2 as John Plummer, the son of Jesse Plummer, a driver from the past, has backed into the outside wall. He did not bring about a caution flag. Now, there is from Chuck Gurney's car, Bob Fry's car make that, the in-car camera as he battles among the top 4. He follows Jack Hewitt in that orange number 23, once again riding with the V6 powered Bob Fry.
This is a great view because it really shows how much the front of the car works, how much you actually turn the wheel in a sprint car to make it turn the corner. Most people never see this view.
Bob Fry looking out the back window. That red car is Chuck Gurney driving Johnny Cable's car. Johnny will be flying out to the Meadowlands in the New York City area immediately after this race to field an Indianapolis car. There are the first 3 cars in this race as we get down toward the final stages. It is Jack Hewitt from Ohio. Bob Fry from Arizona moves to the inside. California's Chuck Gurney follows.
He's trying to get by. He can't quite make it. Jack is really running strong in this brand new pavement-only car, and Jack is really amazing me and a lot of people at how good he runs on the pavement.
And remember, Bob Fry set a brand new track record. He was the fastest qualifier at almost 119 miles an hour. Once again, he tries the inside of Hewitt, and the old dirt tracker holds on.
You know, you just saw some smoke come off of Hewitt's tire coming off the corner, but it looks like Bob's a little bit looser than Hewitt is because he can't quite get by, and the car walks up the hill.
Look at Hewitt. You really get an idea of how hard these drivers wrestle these cars around. Who says you just go forward on pavement?
Yeah, well, you go forward, but you drive as hard as you can. Look at the smoke come off that tire there, but he's not slowing down.
Jack Hewitt keeps his foot in the throttle. And meanwhile, there was almost a photo finish for 4th as the number 65 car, 67 car of Jeff Bloom just barely noses out Greg Staub, who gave it that old college try in the last lap.
Yes, he did. It was a good race.
But here is heat race number 1, Hewitt, Fry, Gurney, and Jeff Bloom. Now, heat race number 2, of course, followed thereafter, and it was still daylight hours. Rich Vogler, no surprise there. He went on to win. He passed Mark Alderson about halfway through the race. Young Jeff Gordon moved through the field. He was the last among the really fast cars to emerge. He held on for 3rd, and Billy Tyler, substituting for Bob Seelman tonight, finished 4th, the first time I've seen Billy in a sprint car this year.
Man, I haven't seen him for quite a while, matter of fact, and he drove a real hard race.
Here's the lineup for the semi-feature. Scheduled to start on the pole in car number 44 from the Cincinnati, Ohio area is Greg Staub. Bruce Field starts on the outside. The second row, side by side, Chip Thomas and Jim Keeker, the man who won big a couple of times 1 year ago. In the third row, scheduled to go on the inside, was Jerry Niemeyer. No word as to whether or not he will be able to come out. And John Murphy, who had also that anxious moment in this heat race. In row number 4, Jim Bolus is on the inside in car 30, and Charlie Workman Jr. will run the bronze number 45 on the outside. The fifth row, a couple of real veterans, both over the age of 50, Tom Bigelow and Benny Rapp, both cars numbered 14. In the sixth row, Lenny Green will start on the inside at 93G, and he is flanked by John Plummer in the white car number 0. Scheduled to go in row number 7, Brad Armstrong and Mike Vandermoss, cars number 22 and 18. And in the 8th row, Larry Fritz in the white number 8, and Ron Kohler in a yellow and white red trim number 10 car. Ron is from right here in the Indianapolis area. Those are the cars scheduled to go in the semi-feature. Remember, 4 will move on to the main event. We have had a couple of scratches, but this still figures to be a very competitive race. This is the race that is left to the people who haven't made it yet.
This is what, tonight we'll call this the last chance race. There goes Tom Bigelow, who is a late starter out of the pits. This is the last chance for the guys to make the feature.
Bigelow is the all-time leading winner in the sprint car division. He won 52 races, and he was winning races in handfuls when you were still an active sprint car racer.
That's right. He's been winning since before I started.
Oh, now let's be kind.
Well, he has, and he's still winning.
Tom Bigelow, who came up to the sprint car ranks. Boy, that does not sound full song yet with people like Bill Peterball and Raleigh Beal. They came up in the late 1960s, and among that trio and people like Charlie Masters, he's the only one left from that contingent.
Well, the only one that we can think of. I'm sure there are. We'll get notified there are some more, but he's the one we can think of at the moment.
All right, all set to go on this 12-lap semi. Bigelow falls in at the back of the field. He was the last car to be shoved off. He's not allowed to move up to his assigned starting position. Bringing the field around is Greg Staub. Remember, Greg won a main event here in 1988. Bruce Field is on the outside. The green flag is out, and the field streams into turn number 1.
Good start. Good start for Greg. He just jumped right out to the beginning, and the way he looks, he's going to stay there. He's not being challenged by anyone at the start.
It's Greg Staub, Bruce Field, man who came back from serious injuries about 3 years ago, suffered a midget race car, runs very comfortably in that Paul Leffler built sprint car. We say Paul Leffler because that means the car is at least 15 years old. Field runs in second, running in third in car number 6. The white, orange, and red trim number 6 right there on your screen is Jim Keeker.
And Jim Keeker has shown more promise tonight in the sprint car than he has. This is the first race he's actually made with the sprint car. He's had some tough luck in the midgets on our Thursday Thunder, so tonight's his best night for the season.
The black car that went by is Jim Mullis. He's running in 4th. He's got the final transfer spot right now. Gary.
Well, Steve Chassie can attest to how important a good chief mechanic is. You talk about Jim Keeker and the improvement in the sprint car. His new chief mechanic is longtime chief wrench and engine and car builder, Paul Leffler. Leffler has now taken over the operation. Paul admitted he just missed on the gearing 2 weeks ago, but he has him dialed in this evening. We should see some good results from Jim Keeker in the weeks to come.
You're looking at the battle for 5th. Now we're going back up to the leader, Greg Staub. By the way, 5th was Benny Rapp and Charlie Workman. Benny Rapp, the racing great-grandfather, and Charlie Workman in the bronze, number 45. But there's first Greg Staub, 2nd Bruce Field, and running in 3rd position is Jim Keeker, the man who came out and was a Pontiac midget a year ago, and he won on the mile at Milwaukee as well as winning here.
Yes, he did, and he was always very fast when he came out. And I had a chance to talk with him this evening, and they've been very disappointed because they haven't run so well this year. But tonight, he's running better. The car is starting to turn a little loose on him now, but he's still got a good solid 3rd.
You're looking at 1st and 2nd as Bruce Field. His consistency has moved him up to challenge Greg Staub. Staub's car looks a little quicker, but Field has been smoother.
Field, you know, that car that Field is running is a pavement car that was built by Paul Leffler years ago. And when that thing is right, it's really fast. I raced against that a few times.
Well, Gary Lee is standing by with Tom Bigelow. There's a man who's probably driven the car running in 2nd. How about that, Gary? Having some problems with our portable microphone down in the infield. Gary was standing by with Tom Bigelow, and Bigelow was the primary driver for the Paul Leffler built car that was owned by Sherman Armstrong, winning all those races back. And boy, they are in heavy traffic now. They're for Perez for a couple seconds. It looks like Field is going to get the lead as they work their way through slower traffic. Greg Staub is forced to be just a little cautious going into turn 3.
Well, what it took was just the right place at the right time. And Bruce was just in the right place at the right time and made the good decision and went right on through. But here they are lapping cars on the 8th lap, starting the 9th lap already.
Bruce Field from Lockport, Illinois, a man for years was an exclusive midget driver, but he's always been extremely solid on pavement. And Bruce is a man who has won a championship dirt car race, I believe, on this racetrack, as a matter of fact.
Absolutely. He won last year's race right here, the 150 lap race, I believe.
That was a week in which I saw him here in a midget race on Thursday, and I walked up to him and asked him if he was going to run the Champ Dirt Car race. He wasn't even sure. Now here's how Bruce Field got the lead.
Bruce had a good run coming off the corner, and he just drove right on around when everyone else slowed down and made a little decision what they're going to do. Plus, he had a real good high line to enter the corner.
We're coming back for the white flag signifying one more lap to go. Bill Carey drops the white flag over Bruce Field, and you just saw a tremendous example on that replay of how important keeping the RPMs are up here at Indianapolis Raceway Park.
Almost had a good had a shredded tire, and he was very lucky that he didn't bite into the fence and get over. That close to making the feature. That's a tough break.
In one respect, that was a tough break. In another respect, as you pointed out, Steve, Bruce is very lucky that was not a more serious incident. What happens when your left rear tire blows like that?
When your left rear tire blows like that, the car just automatically turns loose because no longer is the left side of the car trying to go forward. And usually what happens is you overcorrect for it, and you end up sticking the nose of the car in the fence. But he did a pretty good job of keeping it as straight as he could, and it didn't really hit the fence that hard.
Let's take another look at it, Steve. It didn't hit the fence that hard, but because it was scraping along the bottom for so long, this car may be damaged.
Oh, I'm sure it is. See, it's smoking right there. I don't know whether it's flat right now, and all of a sudden it just can't stay together. It comes apart, and see the car is going to turn right to the fence. He's trying to correct it, and just couldn't quite turn it enough to keep the front end from getting into the fence.
Well, another thing that happens is the car lifts off the ground like a hydroplane, and you only have steering on one wheel, the left front in this case.
That's right. Not quite as bad. Look at the axle bounce around on that car. It must have broken the axle also, or had broken the
Here's another angle.
Sparks, yeah.
There you can see Field's car dropping down to the bare rim of the wheel and sliding along the outside wall. That's the metal and magnesium scraping along the cement as Bruce Field rides out. A fairly scary ride because just about the point where his tire accelerated, he had probably been on the gas for a split second, had already moved up to about 120 miles per hour. Well, here are the standings with just one lap to go. Here in the semi-feature, Staub, Keeker, Mullis, Workman, and Brad Armstrong.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the Goodyear Eagle line of high-performance street radials, the best-selling performance tires in the world. Goodyear Eagles, for the spirit of a champion that's in all of us.
Life's full of simple pleasures, like the comfort of Levi's jeans. Or had you forgotten?
It's Bud to the beat.
Come on, Big Brewhuna, surf's up.
Let's do it, Brew Doggy.
Hey, everybody, there's going to be a surf-off.
Vodka.
That's a big wave.
9-6. Too big. It's the Bud Tide High Five.
Oh, whoa.
What happened?
Who won?
Next time, let's just arm wrestle.
What's that?
Hey, Buzz, now you can get a special offer on Bud to the Beach sunglasses. Just look for this display wherever you buy Bud or Bud Light.
Master locks are tough under fire.
Olympic superstars sprint to the finish in the final leg of the nation's largest and only track cycling series, the Grand Prix of Cycling, Saturday night at 6 Eastern on ESPN.
Thursday Thunder live on ESPN from Indianapolis Raceway Park. We are under yellow for a crash involving Bruce Field. But an interesting story about this car. We talked about it being built by Paul Leffler. This car was driven to victory by Greg Leffler in the very first sprint car race that ESPN televised at the Salem Superspeedway in 1979. In fact, it was this car that helped to carry Greg Leffler to the 1979 USAC Sprint Car Championship. And here it is right now. It's an old car, but a very competitive car, built by Greg's dad, Paul Leffler, and it's on the hook right now. You can see the driver, Bruce Field. He is okay away from Bruce, but that car may be finished for the evening.
Well, I remember a couple things about that 1979 season. Bubby Jones was the one who was going head-to-head with Greg Leffler for the championship. And Gary, didn't you have more hair in those days?
Now, that was last week, and last week is gone. Thank you. At least it's not red, Larry.
Okay, Gary. The field is coming out of turn number 4 with the green flag and the white flag up. Greg Staub charges across the start-finish line to take the white flag. Running in second is Jim Keeker. Jim Molis is in third, and Charlie Workman was being shown in fourth position, but he got a horrible start.
That's too bad, because Charlie is one of the hard-trying independents that lives right here close by. And the checker flag is over, and we have Greg Staub winning the semi-feature and transferring into the feature.
Well, Workman finishes in the 5th position, and moving into 4th as we look at Greg Staub is the number 22 car, a new entry to the sprint car ranks here at Indianapolis Raceway Park tonight, Brad Anderson. And there he is on the screen, and Anderson moves in.
I think it's Brad Armstrong.
Brad Armstrong is the driver who qualifies in the 4th position. He's the final transfer car as he moves into the main event.
And I can tell you what an exciting... There's no brakes on this 44 car. That's why he's weaving back and forth trying to stop, I'll bet. He's going real slow and weaving back and forth. No brakes. Hey, help me, stop this car.
And of course, what Greg does not want to do is steer into the wall that would stop him, but that car is just qualified for the main event, so he does not want to damage it.
That's right. They have to fix the brakes now for the main. What I was going to say about Brad Armstrong is what a great feeling it is when you qualify for one of your first races and you just make it in the last spot like that. That's going to be a happy pit.
And it was not a matter of having only 5 or 6 cars finish this race. We had about 10 or 11 cars on the racetrack when the checkered flag fell, so Brad raced into the main event.
Absolutely. He earned a spot, and that really makes you feel better when you earn it. It's not given to you.
Well, there is Greg Staub being rolled back to the victory lane area, as he was, of course, unable to put the brakes on that car and stop in the assigned area. This is the brand new record-holding car of Bob Fry. It is a Chevrolet V6. And the new one-lap track record here at Indianapolis Raceway Park, 20.784 seconds. That translates to 118.822 miles per hour. So Bob Fry, originally a resident of Elyria, Ohio, who now lives in the Phoenix, Arizona area, is the new track record holder here.
Great, you're still open.
Joe, what can I help you with?
I'm looking for... Say, what's that?
It's the new Sports Illustrated video. ESPN's amazing Biff, Bam, Boom, Anything Goes bloopers.
That's some name.
I got it free with my paid subscription to Sports Illustrated. It's the wackiest, goofiest thing I've ever seen. Look at this nutty football. These guys could use padding.
Ah, this looks great. And these guys could use sidelines.
What is that, lacrosse? Or kill the guy with the ball? Try this stuff. Ooh.
Now that is amazing. That's great. I can't believe this video is free.
Not only that, I got SI at almost 50% off the cover price. I just called their toll-free number, and I got 21 issues, including their terrific football and baseball coverage, the big 35th anniversary issue, and the 1990 swimsuit issue. And I got the video for free, all for 3 easy payments of $9.95 each.
Thanks. I'm going to go call Sports Illustrated right now.
Hey.
Coming up on SportsCenter, baseball is back. The O's and Angels square off. Oral Hershiser looks for his 10th victory of the season. Bo hits Broadway, and highlights of the opening round of the Women's U.S. Open. Join Bob Lee and me at 11:30 on SportsCenter.
In victory lane with Greg Staub at Indianapolis Raceway Park. And Greg, one time a car owner told me, Gary, you only need brakes to stop in the pits. You didn't have them this evening, did you?
Couldn't stop in the pits or on the racetrack. Something let go on a fitting again. We're having so many small problems. I wish we could get them ironed out. We could do a whole lot better. We had a fitting, I think, leaked fluid down 3 laps before Bruce got ahead of me. I had no brakes at all, so I had to suffer with what we had. As it ended up, Bruce had a bit of misfortune also, and that's the way it went.
We talk about keeping the momentum up, but how much do you really utilize the brakes here?
Well, it depends on the individual driver. We have a little bit heavier race car than most people, so I'm using a bit more brake than everyone else. But it seems the momentum is the deal here at IRP. You have to keep your momentum rolling, and as soon as you slow down or break your momentum, you're in trouble for that corner until you can gather it back up later.
But when you go out for the feature, the crew will go to work now and fix the brake problem. But how much is that playing on your mind the first time you tap the brakes?
Well, I don't have any question about that. They can take care of that. We just have to choose the right tires now and make the right choices as far as rubber compounds and so forth for the feature, because she got a little bit greasy towards the end there, so we're going to have to change tire compound a little bit.
It was a great interview in Victory Lane a year ago when you won. Have a good ride in the feature.
Thank you, Gary. I'd like to thank True Value and USAC and IRP and everyone involved with us. This is a great series for all of us, and I appreciate it.
Well, Greg is pushing the pedal on his V8. There's going to be a V6 Chevrolet that we're going to be watching, car number 20, that set the new track record. It was built and maintained by Glenn Nivel. He's been around racing for about 25 years in the sprint ranks.
A guy brought a old sprint car out here in 1965 after I was a little upset. We had been drag racing for a few years, and he brought the sprint car out here and wanted a little help with it and wanted some work done on it, and we started running USAC, and down through the years we've been doing it on and off ever since. We build race car engines for a living. Any race car engines from midgets on up through the late model stock cars, sprint cars, champ dirt car motors. We do commercial and industrial work, engine rebuilding and machine work for just walk-in customers. That's what the rebuilding and building is what pays the bills. The guy has a little problem making the race car pay the bill. I don't think anything is as much fun when you are paying when it turns into a business. You get sponsors, you get people involved, you get pressures that you normally, when you're doing it strictly for fun, don't have. I think that takes some of the fun out of it. In turn, we've been really successful with it, and it makes it a lot more, that end of it is a lot of fun. Everybody has fun when they're winning, I guess.
As a master mechanic, Glenn talks about what really makes the biggest difference for speed: engine torque, weight, or the placement.
It's a combination of several things. Mainly, if you mentioned there, the weight brake is really probably one of the biggest factors, being as you can keep your corner speed up. This helps make up. You don't have to slow the thing down, so consequently you don't have to get it going again. This makes it keep up with the V8s. The engine location where it is, the front to rear bias on the car is basically the same. I think one other big factor is the fact that you've got amount of horsepower which the car is capable of hooking up. It's just a really good balance.
And Bob Fry's V6 will be carrying our onboard cage cam. There you see Mr. Fry beginning to mount up for tonight's 30-lap main event. Bob Fry from the Phoenix, Arizona area will be carrying our camera with you, and you'll be riding with him in tonight's main event.
It started in Japan in 1907 and became one of the most respected automobile companies in the world, Daihatsu. Nearly 1 million vehicles a year, sold in over 130 countries. Cars, trucks, and utility vehicles of incredible quality at an affordable price. Daihatsu's reputation for reliability is well known throughout the world. See Daihatsu today, one of the most respected names in Japan for over 80 years, Daihatsu.
The fiber that's pound for pound, 5 times stronger than steel, and is in the protective vests worn by police. Makes up the unique belt of Road Handler treadlock radials.
Great low prices. Road Handler Tough. That's your money's worth and a whole lot more.
2 days coming up over easy. New days coming on good slow. Me, I'm warming to a hot big muffin morning. Look out, that bass head in the golden glow of a great day. Hey, wait, yeah. A hot McMuffin hung up with just one change.
The one and only taste of an Egg McMuffin.
Gonna be a hot McMuffin morning at McDonald's.
Electricity? Hey, no problem. Want to know any more? Ask Ace. That's what I do.
The Intermatic programmable timer is just $397, and his lightweight angle broom is a best buy, just $147.
Hey, Ace is the place for me.
Oh, honey, don't come near me, please.
Oh, I can't. No, it's not a good idea.
Oh, no, baby. Not right now, no.
Oh, sweetie. You don't want to get too close.
Till that sticky, pasty morning mouth film on your mouth, teeth, and gums is powered away with Scope. And the worst breath of the day is replaced with the best.
Kiss me.
What are you waiting for?
Great kiss.
You may kiss me now.
Scope, the best thing first thing in the morning.
Live sprint car racing on ESPN from the Indianapolis Raceway Park in Claremont, Indiana. We are in the shadows of downtown Indianapolis, Indiana, and the slightly shorter shadows of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the west side of Indianapolis. The feature winners in the United States Auto Club Sprint Car Division in 1989, Jeff Gordon in Florence, Kentucky, won the very first race, and he has been able to stay atop the point standings. Rick Hood has actually won 2 races this year, but is not being shown in the top 10 of the point standings. Wayne Hammond from Florida won on ESPN. He's also won in the high banks of Salem, Indiana. And in Orville, Ohio, the former Wayne County Speedway, Danny Smith was a race winner there. Jack Hewitt, whom you've seen run very competitively on the pavement tonight, won on the quarter-mile dirt of the Kokomo, Indiana Speedway. Rodney Ritter Jr. in the last week at Lawrenceburg, Indiana. And talk about 2 racetracks that are widely different in terms of their configuration. The quarter-mile dirt of Lawrenceburg and the very fast pavement at Marne, Michigan is a racetrack similar to this where Vogler won last week.
Well, I wouldn't say it's so similar, Larry. It's pavement. That's the most similar thing you can say. It's much shorter than this, and it's an odd-shaped racetrack where 1 and 2 is a much tighter corner. 3 and 4 has more radius to it, but 4 it's kind of like Darlington. It's a terrible corner to get off. You get a little high, and you always find the fence, but it's a fast racetrack, if that's what you mean by like this racetrack. It's extremely fast for its size.
You know, we talked about the varying degrees of people who run this type of racing, and just to give you the extremes, the high and the low of the emotion, a couple of people very important to the sprint car community were in the news this week. One, Mike Johnson, is a former race driver, been promoter for many years in the Indianapolis, Indiana area. Passed away because of cancer. And on the other hand, we have Jen Opperman, former sprint car driver who many people thought would never completely recover. He has been progressing, we understand, to the point where he now watches these races every Thursday night on ESPN. Meanwhile, Gary Lee is standing by with another story down in the pit area.
Well, I could say that great minds think alike, but I won't do that to you, Larry. We normally do not make a practice of saying hello to people, but I did want to mention Jan Opperman this evening because he has been recovering from the very serious head injuries from a 1981 sprint car crash. He has progressed to the point that he does watches in his Orangevale, California home. And Jan, we know you smile when you see the sprint cars, and to the race fans, you may be out of sight, but you're not out of mind. We're happy to have you along. We wish you could be here in person. Jan, take care.
And while we're passing along these greetings, as you can see, the main event is lining up on the racetrack before you right now. This is our infield camera as you look down the back straightaway. Also like to mention, again, highs and lows, extremes. Rick Phillips, who is a crewman on Red Stouffer's car who was qualified for this race, lost his wife, Cindy, in the last week. And on the other hand, Mark Alderson's wife, Sherry, gave birth to a new baby girl. Here is the lineup for tonight's 30-lap main event. On row number 1, Jeff Gordon will start on the pole in the car numbered 6W to be exact. Chuck Gurney will start alongside in car number 21. In the second row, the feature winner from 2 weeks ago, Wayne Hammond, and 3-time and defending champion Steve Butler on the outside. In the third row, Rich Vogler. Can he do it again? And Bob Fry, the brand new track record holder at nearly 119 miles per hour. In row number 4, Michigan's Gary Fedowa and Ohio's Gene Lee Gibson. 2 threats to win this race. In the 5th row, 9th and 10th position, side by side, Jack Hewitt in the orange car number 23 and Mark Alderson in car number 52. In the 6th row, Andy Hillenberg, Indiana's Andy Hillenberg on the inside, and New York's Doug Hebron, the super modified champion, on the outside. Side by side in row 7, Greg Staub. You just saw him win the semi-feature, and Eric Gordon in the Lee Osborne-built race car. In the 8th row, 15th and 16th starting position, cars numbered 67 and 6. They're driven by Jeff Bloom and Jim Keeker. In the 9th row, cars numbered 30 and 74, Jim Mullis and Bill Tyler driving the Bob Sillman car tonight. And in the 10th and final row, Brad Stouffer and Brad Armstrong. 5 cars have been below the track record tonight, and they are Chuck Gurney, Wayne Hammond, Steve Butler, Rich Vogler, and Bob Fry with a brand new track record. Now, Vogler, as you go inside of Bob Fry's car, as he lines up there on the backstretch, Rich Vogler comes tonight with a race car that we have seen before, but it has been changed. You hear that V6 of Bob Fry accelerating going through turns 3 and 4. Back to the Vogler race car story. They've had to change that car just a little bit to match the updated USAC rules.
That's right. They've had to put the car back on center with the tank and the steering and the seats back on the center line. And the right rear axle is 27 inches from the center of the center section to the inside of the wheel flange.
Rich Vogler, second in sprint car point standings, 26 points, or about 10 finishing positions behind Jeff Gordon. We'll be back for tonight's exciting 30-lap main event after these words. The big question is, can Vogler do it again among the top 10 candidates all?
From Rocky Mountain snow to Florida sun, Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
Mine's pushing 250,000 miles.
Quaker State engines run strong and run long.
95,000 miles and no problem.
Quaker State is quality engineered to exceed every single car maker's U.S. requirements for maximum engine protection.
This car's new. I'd be stupid not to use Quaker State.
Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Don't win nothing for practice. Don't win nothing if you don't.
All right, let's have it.
After a long day of hard knocks,
That's right.
head for the beer that goes down smooth as a mountain stream.
Boy, here, this one don't buck so hard.
Head for the mountains of Bush beer.
Prado, the fastest growing name in auto parts today. Prado, featuring quality auto parts at lower prices. It's summer and you're hot. The traffic is not moving and your air conditioner is on the blink. Prado has the answer. Quality Everco air conditioning parts. From a simple switch to a complex compressor, Everco has what you need.
When you need to know about auto parts, ask the pro at Pronto.
America's best amateur athletes are ready to shine. The 1992 Summer and Winter Olympics are approaching fast, but gold medal dreams take shape at the United States Olympic Festival, July 22nd through the 30th, live on ESPN.
Of course, the Olympic Festival has been part of the news today on ESPN. Following this broadcast, Sports Center with Dan Patrick and Bob Lee. Of course, Major League Baseball also returns to its full-time schedule as the crowd here at the Indianapolis Raceway Park salutes the drivers as they pass by and review in their ceremonial four-abreast formation. Steve?
You know, not all clubs do this on the parade lap, and I really think it adds to the show because it puts more of a mass of horsepower and noise and cars and wheels and tires all together, and it makes a whole different view.
It really focuses the attention. It makes it more like a festival or a carnival. It is a spectacle, and to see that large of number of cars all gathered in such a small space, you really get a feeling for the horsepower involved.
Maybe it should drop the green flag when they do that.
Oh, just one time. Just one time. That would be spectacular, wouldn't it? Well, once again, to review for you as the field passes by, getting the one-lap signal, starting on the pole is young Jeff Gordon. On the outside front row, the veteran Chuck Gurney in Johnny Capel's car. Wayne Hammond will start third, Steve Butler fourth, Vogler fifth, Bob Fry sixth, Gary Fita will start seventh, and Gene Lee Gibson eighth. Jeff Gordon, does he have a chance, Steve?
He has an absolute chance. As hot as he is, as much desire he has and ability, he has an absolute good chance. If he gets a good clean start and his car is working good. You know, these cars on pavement have some of the same similarities as Indy cars. You can't carry a car on pavement.
Jeff is just 17 years of age. We've told you before, he graduated from high school this year. He was in a sprint car for the first time at the age of 13, and in that first year, he won a race. Green flag, 30 laps to go. A very clean start, and Chuck Gurney really gets the advantage on Gordon down the backstretch. That's Gordon moving on the inside. That's Wayne Hammond in the blue car. Wayne Hammond challenging Gordon for second position.
Hammond's going to try real hard early here. We've got his car smoking real bad in the back. Hope it's not oil putting down and make it slippery. Here's a good shot from inside Bob Fry's car.
Bob Fry following Rich Vogler down the backstretch. The six-cylinder Scream into turn number 3.
Watch the right front. Now, you see how much the wheel actually does turn. You can watch it roll on the wheel, actually. And it doesn't answer right away when you turn it.
Oh, Vogler make that Gene Lee Gibson and Bob Fry come together just momentarily down the front stretch. Didn't bother Fry at all. He lost a little bit of distance to Vogler.
Listen to how smooth Fry is on the throttle. Listen how smooth this is.
Gene Lee Gibson is right behind Fry, and Fry is trying to catch up with Rich Vogler as we go back up front and see Chuck Gurney leads. And there is Steve Butler diving to the inside, and there is Jeff Gordon going to the inside of Chuck Gurney, and Jeff Gordon goes back to where he started the race in first.
Jeff made a good move. I think Chuck had a little problem. The car pushed real hard right in the middle of the corner, but here comes Hammond on the bottom, passing those guys again. He could have, oh, a little touch there, a little touch, but they all kept straight.
Okay, once again, Jeff Gordon. There goes Butler. There's that move that we've been waiting for.
Oh, he couldn't hold
Butler
this time.
loses it almost. Hammond straightens up. Here comes Gene Lee Gibson. He bounces off of Bob Fry. He bangs into Steve Butler.
Oh, my goodness.
Gene Lee Gibson hits the inside wall. Butler the outside row. There are cars all in the front stretch. As the number 52 car of Mark Alderson there in the white car, he gets involved, as does Doug Hevron.
Well, you see that when you lose a car and you get missed every time, it's lucky. Sometimes you just can't have everybody miss you.
It was begun when Steve Butler tried the big move going into turn number 3. There is Gene Lee Gibson. He hit the outside wall. He bounced off of that. He scooted underneath the tail of Steve Butler and hit the inside wall head on.
He had no steering and no brakes, and he was a rider in that car. There's nothing he could do. What a terrible feeling. And he was probably going still around 60 miles an hour on that head-on crash. You know his knees and his neck hurt real bad.
Gene Lee Gibson, who has spent most of his career in a super modified. Here's where it began, Steve.
Here goes the move we've seen all last year. Underneath, he gets sideways this time. He tries to save it, can't quite save it. Hammond comes in and runs over the top of him. Then he runs over Hammond. Up on the outside, you can see where Gene Lee comes in, jumps the wheel, hits the fence, breaks the steering, has no brakes, runs under the back of Butler again, and right straight into the fence. Meanwhile, Butler spins again, and down and just past our camera view is Doug Hevron. Oh, there it is right there. Hevron gets run over.
By Mark Alderson.
And what a, just, you know, you couldn't see anything. There's so much to see, you can't tell what's happening.
Here's another angle. It appears as though Gibson is broke right away. That's Vogler.
Vogler got lucky, and Fry got lucky. Both of them seem to have come through.
And Gene Lee drives underneath the tail of Steve Butler, and there is this head-on collision. It's a very hard hit.
Very, very hard hit. When you're a passenger in a car like that and there's nothing you can do, I mean, what can you do besides hope you can hold on and not get hurt?
With the roll cages on these cars, here is another angle.
He's loose already. See, he's loose. Before he gets in the corner, he's loose, and you never can gather it back up.
With the roll cages on these cars, as Hammond almost straightens out Butler, oftentimes one of the best things that you can do is get upside down, but still there is no real protection for a head-on collision.
Oh, no, there is no protection whatsoever.
Here is Butler.
Oh, somebody just clipped. That must have been Hevron that just clipped him.
That was Doug Hevron. And Hevron, of course, bounces off of Mark. Now, here is the view that Bob Fry had.
There is Who's that loose on the upside?
Vogler.
That's Vogler loose up there.
He's on the brakes.
Now things are happening up front. Now he runs into the back. Oh, look at this. Look at that. How could it not have bent that axle? It turned it so far sideways. Everything's happening in front. Fry is just hanging on now. I'm surprised he's not concerned. He's not feeling his front end. That wheel was turned completely sideways. There's the last little happening right there.
As Butler just gets out of Fry's way, and Bill Carey's already got the yellow flag out. The starter was paying attention, and there's the remains of the Doug Hebron car, the Ben Leba machine.
Well, that takes a lot of the good fast guys out of the race temporarily. Maybe some will get back in, but it's tough.
Well, Gene Lee Gibson took quite a lick. He is down in the pits right now with Gary Lee.
I know, Gene, it's very difficult for you to talk right now, and I appreciate it, but first of all, you're okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What happened?
Somebody oiling the racetrack down caused the whole thing. It is a one slippery mess out there right now. You know, Richie and them guys just turned sideways, and it's all due to oil on the racetrack.
It looked maybe 2 laps earlier like some guys were having trouble coming off the 4th corner, getting sideways from the oil.
It's all the way around the racetrack. Somebody oiled it down good. It looks like right there oiled it down. I mean, it is one slippery mess out there right now.
Tell us what happened as you saw it from the cockpit.
Well, I think it was Richie's turned it sideways, or Butler. I forget now who it was. I was just looking for a hole, and it just jammed up, no place to go, and I got up and over somebody. We got away from it, and then I think it must have broke the steering, because then I climbed back over the top of Steve, and I got up near again, and I come down hard enough. I just mashed the gas down and drove it. It drove into the wall there.
When we saw the damage to the car off the wall, our concern was for the knee area. You're okay?
I'll be sore in the morning.
Racing rheumatism.
It's part of the game. You got to take the good with the bad.
That's the philosophy. Thank you. Gene Lee's okay, but he'll have that racing rheumatism tomorrow morning.
Well, Gary, earlier in the race, Steve thought you might have seen smoke from somebody.
I saw it at the start of the race. We had a shot, and you can see the puff right there. It is coming off one of the 25 car, and I saw it all the way around the racetrack, and it just kind of disappeared then, and we didn't see him anymore, and that is what caused all of our problems.
That is the Andy Hillenberg machine. This is only the 3rd week for that car. There is Steve Butler. He has remained in the race car in hopes that they can fix it. Now, we also understand that the USAC did lap flag the 25 car the lap before the wreck for engine smoke. And here it is once again from Bob Fry's vantage point.
What a long road it's been. Driving for hours. Your back is aching. Your legs are numb. You're hot and sweaty. There's got to be an answer. Chinese wisdom brings you a marvelous answer that really works. The new Posterizer seat cushion.
I've had these beads for a couple of months now, and I work 12 hours a day, and my back feels in heaven.
So easy to install and made of varnished wooden beads solidly knitted together. Posterizer smoothly massages your back and legs, keeping your body awake even through long hours on the road.
Hey, it's a truck driver's dream.
Posterizer applies to seats the principles found in massage instruments used in China for generations. Never hot, never cold. The beads form a perfect support that prevents sweat and perspiration. So get the driving comfort of Posterizer today, only $29.95. No shipping and handling charges if you call now. Toll-free 1-800-544-1000. Credit cards accepted, no CODs. Or send a check or money order to Posterizer, 125 Armstrong Road, Des Plaines, Illinois. Act now.
Only 4 laps of tonight's 30-lap main event are now in the record books. You're looking at the remains of the Johnny Vance Aristocrat Products sprint car that Gene Lee Gibson was piloting in tonight's main event. He began the feature event in 8th position and certainly was one of the candidates for victory here tonight. But as you can see, that car has had a terrific collision with the inside wall.
Yes, it did. And that kind of a collision, they'll be lucky if they can salvage maybe the back half of the frame. Who knows what it did to the engine and drive line by driving it forward when it stops. That puts the big hurt on a car. And it all starts from the oil that was laid down.
We will go inside of Bob Fry's car one more time. This is real time. Steve, is there anything that you can do?
When you're in a position like this, you come up behind a car, he starts to get a little bit loose and think, oh my God, he's going to spin. And you just kind of wait and see, and all of a sudden you ram him. What can you do? Nothing you can do. And then Gene Lee is trying to go by the outside. All he's trying to do is hang on now. He has no idea if his steering is broken.
you really got an idea of that replay as to how quickly things happen, you don't have time to think. You have to rely on your experience to make you react properly.
There goes Butler back on the racetrack. It's instinct is what it is. Gary, you're down with Jeff Stoops on the racetrack.
Well, Jeff indeed is the car owner for Steve Butler. Tell us what repairs were made and what damage has been sustained.
Well, we changed the left front tire and the right rear tire. There's some minor damage to the front axle, nothing we think will keep us from running. The fuel tank and the rear bumper are both smashed in. No leaks in the fuel tank, so we think he'll be okay, but we won't know here until he runs a few laps.
We talked to Gene Lee, and he said it looked like Steve may have gotten into the oil. Did he make any comment to you?
No, but it looked like that to us. There was a lot of oil down on the track.
Watch your backside because your driver is coming in. Here comes Steve right now, so apparently something is not to his liking. We'll watch him as he pulls into the pit area.
And, Gary, we anticipate going green this time. Steve, I'll tell you, if that car gets back out there, I'm going to be surprised. He took a couple of very hard hits.
They did. You know, when it bends something like an axle, it takes the camber and caster and messes it up. Here they come for the
Steve
green.
is unbuckling. Green flag is out. Jeff Gordon drag races down into turn number 1. Chuck Gurney is second. Wayne Hammond is third. And Rich Vogler is fourth. And Gordon opens up about 4 car lengths going through turns 1 and 2.
Hammond's got real sideways coming off of 2 there.
Coming down to complete lap number 4. And Bob Fry, whose suspension that we saw got a real severe test, did not choose to come in. He is running in 5th position as Vogler goes underneath Vogler. Vogler goes underneath Chuck Gurney as we go inside with Bob Fry.
And you watch Bob Fry. And remember, when you're watching this, the racetrack is extremely slippery for all that oil that caused that big wreck.
Bob Fry put some distance between himself and Gary Fedewa as Fedewa drops back. Right behind Fedewa is Jack Hewitt.
See how very, very careful everyone's being. You can listen to Bob's engine. He's being very, very careful.
First, second on the left-hand side of your screen. Third and fourth on the right-hand side. Jeff Gordon and Rich Vogler. And in third is Chuck Gurney. Wayne Hammond is fourth. And Vogler makes the big dive to the basement, going around turns number 1 and 2.
Just didn't have, whoa, and Jeff got loose there. Just didn't quite have enough traction to get by on the inside.
Talk about your classic duels. Do you suppose that Jeff Gordon has ever had a sterner test?
No, I don't think so. And he has probably seen who was alongside of him. But he is a racer, and he's going for it.
Vogler had a great first turn. Let's see if he can parlay it into the lead. He does.
There he does. It was a classic pass and a good pass.
Very, very clean and expertly done.
He's starting to smoke the right rear a little bit. He's real loose getting off the corner.
Hey, you think Vogler isn't trying to get with the program? I'd say that young Jeff Gordon is testing Rich, too.
Well, he knows
Yellow flag. We have a spin on the outside of turn number 4.
Can't really see who there it is.
It's the number 22 car of Brad Armstrong. We mentioned that he was really a surprise qualifier into the 30-lap feature tonight, and Brad Armstrong, who was trying to stay up with everybody. All the cars were still on the lead lap. Now, Gary Lee has caught up with Steve Butler, and there are still a group of people gathered around that car.
Well, there's a look at the backside damage, but here is Steve Butler. And Steve, first of all, our concern was for the shoulder that is still on the men. Physically, you're okay?
Yeah, I'm okay, Gary. I'm just real disappointed. You know, I think that we were doing handling real good there in the early part of the race, and it's really frustrating to be out of the race. This hasn't been my season so far, but you know, we were doing the grass move and diving down there, and we had it pretty well cleared, and then Andy Hillenberg was dropping oil, and we went through his oil, and we were already at a pretty aggressive pace through the corner, you know, and just a little bit sideways, and when we hit that oil, it just, came around, but we were, Wayne Hammond and I got together, and that kind of straightened me up, and I was okay, but I'd lost so much momentum that someone ran into me from behind, and then that, they got under my car and got my car way up in the air, and when it came down, it broke the suspension, and it was just a melee after that. So, it's just unfortunate. That's one of the disadvantages of asphalt versus dirt, is on dirt the oil soaks in, and on the asphalt it doesn't. So I'm sorry for the Stoops Freightliner team and everybody that we didn't get to show our stuff. I think we had a good chance to win this race.
I know you went in with very high hopes after that heat race victory. The crew worked hard to get you back out there, but it just was not to be this evening.
Well, what happened is they were changing the tires, and we didn't notice, well, just before we went out, we noticed that part of the front suspension was broken, and we thought we'd feel it out anyway and see if we could get by without it, but the car was real unstable, so we just had to pull in, Gary.
Well, we're going to stand in here and watch the rest of this feature event with the defending USAC Sprint Car champion, Steve Butler. So we have more racing coming your way from Indianapolis Raceway Park. So let's go back to the top side, Larry and Steve.
Well, Gary, Steve Butler is yet to win a main event. There have been 9 so far this year. Here are the way the cars are running in the 30-lap feature right now. Rich Vogler now leads. Jeff Gordon is second. Chuck Gurney third. Wayne Hammond fourth. Eric Gordon is in 5th position. 21 laps to go.
The fiber that's pound for pound, 5 times stronger than steel, and is in the protective vests worn by police. Makes up the unique belt of Road Handler treadlock radials.
Great low prices. Road Handler Tough. That's your money's worth and a whole lot more.
100 years of Amoco quality.
Two-lane blacktop, dusty byway, city streets, super highway. Wherever you go, you got a friend you know. Amoco, America, Amoco, and you. Burning bright for you, America. Amoco thanks you.
Interested in a better hand soap than that me?
I can cope. I don't need no lava soap, no.
Regular soap won't always work, but lava with pumice will. Interested?
No, no, no.
Lava, the don't try to cope without it soap.
If you are just tuning in and getting all set for Sports Center, that will follow immediately after tonight's USAC Sprint Car feature race from the Indianapolis Raceway Park, which has been delayed by a very serious accident, which fortunately resulted in no injuries, but we had race cars all over turns 3 and 4 and the front straightaway about 5 minutes ago.
We did, and it was some expert driving, and very fortunate that no one really got hurt. Now, this beautiful Dan Young pace car is going to come off the racetrack this next time around, and we're going to go green racing again on a slippery, oil-soaked racetrack.
And the question remains, just how slippery is the racetrack now? Oil dry has been laid down, but you never really know as Vogler brings the field around.
You'll find out when they drop the green flag. The pace won't be as fast, and the cars will be sliding and smoking the tires.
Green flag is out. Vogler brings the field around as they immediately go to 2 and 3 abreast formation. Going down the inside is Wayne Hammond. Remember, he won 2 weeks ago. Hammond has had a little bit of difficulty negotiating the exits of turns 2 and 3, but that time he gets by as Hammond goes underneath Chuck Gurney. Now he goes to the inside of Jeff Gordon.
Not quite enough traction to stay down there. And Jeff is really working good, and they're having a hard time getting by him. For some reason, he is not quite as fast as Rich, but his car looks good.
Jeff Gordon is really running just the right place on this track this whole race long, and there is that perfect line about 2/3 of the way up.
He's in the line 2/3 of the way up. Good momentum. You can't get by him unless you're really operating, and plus, he's so smooth, he's saving his tires. This is a nice shot out of the back of Bob Fry's car, who's still running despite having his front end look like it was going to be broken.
Gary Fedewa. He started in 9th position. Gary Fedewa from Michigan. Fry is running in 8th position. Fedewa 9th.
That really gives you an idea of how fast you're traveling, much better than looking at this view. This view gives you an idea. When you watch the fence posts go by, it's a picket fence. I mean, you heard that saying before, but you can actually see where it comes from. Fedewa is looking and looking. He's looking inside, looking outside. He just hasn't quite figured out what he wants to do yet. He may be a little faster than Bob at the moment, but he can't find the line to get by.
Fry has dropped to 8th. Obviously, the car is a little bit off of its torrid pace it set in qualifying when he established a brand new track record. And Bob Fry, he's the driver in charge. This is not a race car that is capable of winning this race.
There's a pass.
And Fry is definitely not at his fastest right now.
No, it must be steering right because he's not really being aggressive, and he's just kind of taking it easy and trying to finish the race in a respectable position.
There's Fedewa. Fedewa is now 8th. The number 44 car of Greg Staub is running in 7th position.
There goes Greg by on the outside.
And Fry just continues to motor around, staying out of everyone's way, but trying to be as fast as he possibly can.
And Jim Keeker is right in the race with him.
It's 11:30 Eastern Daylight Time, and if you've just tuned in for SportsCenter will follow immediately this 30-lap main event. You're watching the United States Auto Club Sprint Cars from the Indianapolis Raceway Park. You are riding with Bob Fry, and Bob Fry apparently has decided to give up the ghost.
When they don't steer, you're better off going to the pits than trying to wrestle a car.
There is Jeff Gordon, who is running in second position as Vogler is disappearing. Rich Vogler is going to win again, the gods being with him on ESPN. Oh, Gary Lee is standing by with a close relative of our second place runner. Gary?
Well, indeed, his stepfather, John Bickford, is standing by. You say right now it's simply a handling problem.
We have an understeer condition in the car that's been developing about 10 laps into the race. Jeff has to pace himself so as to not overhurt the right front tire. And it looks like he's doing a nice job out there right now, consistent. We've got to be real careful. If he burns it off, we'll start going to the rear.
Despite the fact you live with the kid, and I say a kid because he's only 17, you have to sometimes be amazed at how much racing savvy this youngster has.
Well, he started when he was 5. He has a lot of natural talent, and he's been surrounded by a lot of good people. He's got a lot of help, a lot of backing, a lot of training, a lot of good coaching. Like any athlete, a coach is a big deal, and he's got a lot of good coaching goes on.
We're going to be hearing a whole lot from Jeff Gordon in the years to come, I assure you.
You can see the push in his car now. You can see he's turning left all the time, and you can see he's a little too much turn left.
10 laps to go, 20 laps down. There is Rich Vogler, just kind of refreshing your memory that he is out there, and Vogler is really fighting that car as the 21 laps now are down. There is the number 22 car of Brad Armstrong. You saw that he had spun earlier. He has touched the fence one more time, we are told, and he is coasting out of turn number 4 now into the pit area. So apparently Brad Armstrong is going to drop out of this one, but he comes back with all 4 wheels on.
That's one good thing. You know, he worked hard all night, didn't run well, and he finally made the race, and then he spun once, and now he's just brushed the wall again.
But Vogler continues to lead as the laps, like the sands of the hourglass, just kind of drip through for Vogler, and he really has no challengers, and Rich Vogler often has to fight for wins on ESPN's got things pretty easy tonight.
But he's still running as hard as he can. You know, you see the car getting sideways, and he gets real close to the 4th turn wall now and then. He's not slowing down. He may be slowing down a little bit, but not a lot. But he knows he has this race won as long as nothing goes wrong.
23 laps down, 7 laps to go. Rich Vogler from Indianapolis, Indiana. He finished in the top 10 of this year's Indianapolis 500-mile race. He has won the USAC Midget Division title 5 times. He is the only man to win the midget and sprint car titles in the same year. And Rich Vogler has been one of the stars of the USAC single-seater open-wheel divisions for now about 15 years.
Oh, yeah, I had some very tough races with him back in 1979 and 80, and he's been running consistently up front ever since. 5 laps to go.
Just 5 laps to go for Vogler. This is the car, recall, that was rebuilt. The USAC took a very careful look at its rules for sprint cars. They want the sprint cars that run on dirt to basically be the same ones that run on pavement. And this was a car over the winter that was constructed to be an exclusive pavement race car, and it was offset to the left. There were parts on the inside. The weight was offset on the left-hand side, and USAC said, no, we don't want you to do that. Now, this is the race for 4th and 5th position. Mark Alderson is in that group. There is Jack Hewitt going to the inside of Eric Gordon. And Jack Hewitt, just as we go to that picture, Jack Hewitt goes underneath Eric.
Jack is real impressive on the pavement. You know, he's supposed to be a dirt track driver, but he's so good on a hard slicky that it just transfers right to a pavement track. And plus, they've built this new car for the pavement, and he's pretty darn fast tonight.
That is a brand new Challenger. The car is from Des Moines, Iowa, and for years, Challenger, of course, produced cars designed for dirt, but they've decided to take a serious look at pavement racing. There is Chuck Gurney in the red number 21 trying to get underneath Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon, no relation to our second runner, Jeff Gordon. Has had a great race. He's in 5th in the point standings this year, and he's been running in the top 5 in this main event all night long.
See, Gurney started on the outside front row and had some problems early and backed right up. He had a real bad push. But you just saw Rich coming off the corner, really working the car. It's sliding everywhere.
Rich Vogler headed for victory one more time on ESPN. It is absolutely incredible the number of times that this man from right here in the Indianapolis, Indiana